Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to F Major at its second chord. I am, as ever, your host, Miles White. Uh, Bit of housekeeping first. Turns out that my SoundCloud account, it's a free SoundCloud account, is running out of time. I have enough time for about 2 more episodes, so I need to figure out some sort of alternative solution. I have a couple things in mind. I'll figure it out. I'll get back to you next week. Passing that was really the only piece of housekeeping. I was made aware today by a dear friend of mine, that on Wikipedia there is an article. You know, they have articles for years and decades. There is an article detailing things that will happen in the 2090s. That is, what is it? 73 years from now, the 2090s. And you know, there's not a lot there. Most of it's predictions. There are a couple things that will happen. There's a solar eclipse at some point. Ash Wednesday will fall on a leap day at some point. You know, that sort of stuff. Such and such a construction project. The cleanup of a nuclear power plant somewhere will be done in that year. And it's weird thinking about those things. Not least because I'm going to be dead. You know? Not least because you look at the odds, I'm probably not going to live that long. A little good full life, I'll still be dead, sometime in the 2070s, 2080s. That's a good full life. I don't need to make it that long. If I make it to 2097, I'll be 100 years old. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. No, more to the point, it's just weird because, I don't even know how long that is, I've only been alive for so long. I can't imagine such a length of time. I'm still at a point where, a month, oh boy, a month. A month seems like a pretty long time. Somebody's going to come in a month, well, I got to wait, the 4 weeks and, day in and day out, and it feels like a while, but, 83 years, that's a lot of months. It's a lot of months. It's a weird Wikipedia article. I don't know exactly why they have it. They don't really prove anything by having it there. They don't really lose anything by taking it away, so I don't want them to get rid of it. But it's just such a weird thing to have to begin with. I don't know. But enough about, the whys and the wherefores. Most of their guesses are based on statistics and predictions and so on. What's it going to be like in 2090? We have no idea from where it counts, We don't know anything about what's going to matter in that point. Will we have gone back to the moon at that point? There's no way of knowing. Will we have... I don't know. Will we know more about, dinosaurs? I guess. I don't know what we're going to know about dinosaurs that we don't already know. Will we go to other planets that, beyond the moon? Maybe? I don't really know where we are as far as the science is concerned. Is global warming still going to be a thing? What are the political parties going to be like at that point? I remember, I'm told, 150 years ago we had Whigs. You remember the Whigs? Me neither. Jeez. And if you ask somebody, you asked Hiram Biggins in 1820, what do you think is going to be like in 2017? Well, I think at this rate the Whigs are going to be in office again. It's unbelievable. It's unthinkable. I guess that's why we have science fiction, of course. We have science fiction because it's fun to imagine these things. Or it's terrifying to imagine these things and we want to share our terror so that other people are scared straight. It depends on what writerly tradition you ascribe to. Depends on how you approach science fiction as a means to solve social ills or something you do because you're 7 years old and you think robots are cool. Or maybe you're 27 and you think robots are cool. Robots are cool. You ask Hiram didn't know there were going to be robots, did he? No. They might have had automata at that point. I know that at least by the turn of the century, the 1900s, I think people were already working with clockwork automata. I don't know if there was anything of that at the time. Hiram was around getting dysentery and pooping into the street. They probably weren't pooping into the street at that point. I hope not. That would be unpleasant. The future is very large. It sounds like a silly statement on the face of it, because it sort of is, but the future is large enough for science fiction. Like, you close your eyes for 5 seconds and you don't know what's going to happen. There's so many things that could happen within 5 seconds. But there's only a finite number of things. It's a very large, finite number of things. But, come on, 5 seconds? That's long enough for me to get from the beginning of the sentence to the end of it. But 5 years, 15 years, 83 years. There's a lot that can happen that we just don't know about. Not 500 years ago, I don't think, but 1,000 years ago or so, the Earth was flat. I don't know if you guys remember this. The Earth was flat. And that made sense to us. And now, of course, we know better. But you bet, if you ask I don't know, Ludovicus the peasant about the Earth, well, I guess there's turnips. There are turnips. Did they have turnips? Did turnips come from the New World? I don't really remember much about the Columbian Exchange, except tomatoes, smallpox, and slavery. Kind of got the raw deal in that one, didn't we? But I digress. Historical fiction. The issue of historical fiction is that there's a set number of possibilities. There's alternate history, sure, but history qua history is, it's already happened. There are things we don't know about history, but there are only so many things that could have happened, We're not sure, the featured article on Wikipedia today is the William Shakespeare authorship question. But there's only so many finite paths that we get between William Shakespeare being born and reading Macbeth in English class, if you catch my drift. There's only so many ways it can play out. And of course, there's the way it did play out. We may or may not know that, but I know for certain we don't know about the future. So it makes it exciting. That's why we have a Wikipedia page about 2090, because who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen? We can guess. And guessing is fun and guessing is exciting to a point. But eventually we're going to have to live through it. The great fun is looking back and seeing how wrong we were. Flying cars. Everyone was all talking about flying cars and nobody thought about, the iPad. I guess they had them on Star Trek, but not for a long time. I know for sure they didn't have them back in... Hey Hiram, if I told you that in the future you would have, this little slate, this tablet, and you could access the internet, and the internet would tell you anything you wanted to know, what would you say if I told you that? Well, I'd tell you were a bloody fool. What would he be made of? The gold of El Dorado? Ho, 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 ho. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Oh, ho, ho,